All right, welcome back. Episode 47, Morse Code Podcast. What's up, Soap?
What's up, bitch? What's that? Who's the famous 47?
I don't know. I was going to ask you. I don't want to Google it. Oh, Andrei Kirilenko, AK-47.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this last time. One of the greater underappreciated nicknames of all time.
Shout out again to Trill Whiskers. Trill Withers.
He mentioned it.
Trilly Whiskers.
Officially a friend of the program. Were you a fan of Andrei Kirilenko?
I didn't mind him.
He's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
He had like a weird, maybe I should pull it up. There's some sort of like sex story with him. I think he was like a sex addict, actually.
Like he had it?
He had the addiction.
Oh.
He had the fever. And
Gotcha.
I think it was, no, I'm serious. I think it was something like he used to like have to have sex like before a game or like practice or something.
with like a coach?
No, I assumed another woman, probably his wife, for all I know. But I shouldn't assume. I know.
Yeah,
I know. I'm gonna get roasted for that one. But no, for real. Let's get right into it. There's a lot to unpack today.
it sure is.
It's been a hell of a 48 hours since we last talked with Tyler. A couple, more like 72 hours, a few days ago.
Yep.
Quick rundown. Celtics RIP. Season's over.
Mm-hmm.
NBA Finals started. Titans have been working from home.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving spoke publicly.
There was also, I don't know, two relatively unknown guys went on TV and I guess had a pleasant conversation, agreeing on a lot of stuff.
There was a
strictly
debate.
Agreeing on everything.
There was a debate, and boy, was it debatable. Kind of how it turned out. But we'll touch on that later. I certainly have some thoughts there on debates in general, not necessarily on those two. But we said it on the previous episode, Shoutout 45, our 45th episode, and
yeah,
ironically enough, 45th president of the United States. But let's start here. Let's start with the Celtics. So if you've been following us for a while, pretty clear we're Celtics fans, Celtics homers. I don't know, Celtics homers, but I think we've been pretty Celtics realists this whole time as well.
Yeah.
So with that being said, as you probably saw on the news, or if you just watched the game, Celtics are out. Heat won the East. Any quick takeaways from the departure of our beloved Boston Celtics in the 2020 season?
I mean, that Miami team was a lot better than I expected. I don't think that they're getting proper credit.
They're
for
tough.
That.
They're tough. But boy,
they did get worked in game one by the Lakers. So
they did. I think they're going to lose in 4 or 5. Probably 5. The Lakers will. I think after that game, and we can talk about this a little bit later, but I think both teams know who's going to win the series. So I think if LA wanted to not take a game off, but I think it'll go like including game 1, Lakers, Heat, Lakers, or Lakers, Heat, Lakers. But I don't know, whatever. We'll see. I mean,
they're definitely going to win 4 games before the Heat do. I know that. Whoever
wins the 4th game first is going to take the series. I'll say that 100%.
Are there odds on that?
Yeah, they're minus infinity. Minus. Okay. It says minus DM for details. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, but we'll see. No, I don't know. Bold take, hot take, but we'll see. Before we go too much into the Lakers, there's some other stuff involving that team, involving players on the Lakers we want to touch on as well. But
oh yes,
I know you put some deep thought into your recollections on the Celtics season.
I did.
I think you should share with our listeners.
I did. I'll lead it up with this. Have you seen? Maybe the listeners have seen, but have you seen since the NFL season started, they came out with that Doritos commercial that for some strange reason, even though Halloween's coming up, the Doritos commercial is done in like the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas poem. You seen that with like Marshawn, Gronk?
Oh yeah. It
makes no sense, but
no, it's very
good commercial.
Excuse me, very stupid.
So they reached out to me, and here I go. These are my well thought out thoughts on the Celtics season. Okay. So here we go. I might have a hard time getting through this because I haven't read it out loud. I just finished writing this like 10 minutes ago. 'Twas the NBA season for your Boston Celtics. We were done with Kyrie. That guy was so selfish. Hayward was handled by the doctors with care, hoping Larry O'Brien soon would be there. Terry was traded. We sent him to Charlotte, while visions of Kemba turned the tip of my penis scarlet. Brad with his clipboard, the fans in their seats, we were ready to watch the green team compete. As the months rolled on, the critics stayed polite. They said it was too early, though. The timing wasn't right. The Jays were improving. The locker room was great. Grant Williams was born in 1998. When midseason came, it was time to persuade them. There was a bulge in my pants. He was named Jason Tatum. He'd pull up from 3 and drive to the basket. Was he taking the next step? Did we even have to ask it? But let's pay tribute to one of his idols. We lost the Black Mamba, Mr. Bryant of 5 titles. Back to the fun stuff. Our star had arrived. With Kemba's leadership, the young guys could thrive. But then in early March, there arose such a clatter. In Utah, of all places, we asked, what's the matter? It was Rudy Gobert and his European ways, having sex with the microphones under the media's gaze. Very shortly thereafter, the season was suspended. Corona had struck. Could this be how it ended? We ran to the stores looking for toilet paper. I missed my Celtics coverage. Shout out to Kyle Draper. But have no fear. 5 months we awaited. The league would resume, and I masturbated. But what to my wondering eyes did appear? A Gordon Hayward injury. I think we've been here. With a hobble off the court and an exit from the bubble, I knew in a moment this could be trouble. More rapid than Eagles, the playoff series came. Coach Stevens believed, and he yelled them out by name. Now Kemba, now Marcus, now Jalen and Jason. On defense, we switch. On offense, we're spacing. To the top of the arc, to the corner for 3. Now get back, get back, get back on D. We dispatched of Philly, and that was a must, proving there was really no process to trust. But then came Toronto, and Kyle Lowry's bitching. It took 7 games, and it wasn't convincing. We were up 2-0 and headed for a sweep. Then they hit a buzzer beater, and things became bleak. They pushed us to the brink. Every game was so stressful, but we would prevail, and the victory felt sexual. On to Miami and Jimmy Butler's Heatles, who proved to be too much, like haystacks around needles. A hustle play here, a zone defense there, quickly gave green teamers a look of despair. The guys went ISO, and Stevens was outcoached. He got cooked like an egg, whether scrambled or poached. And now we're stuck watching the Lakers and Heat. Not exactly a series that makes me want to beat my meat. But if I can assure you of only one thing, this team will be back. And maybe soon with a ring.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
That was one of the better things I've ever heard in my entire life.
That was...
I've heard a lot in my time.
Yeah. 2 years. Several things have gone in them.
Yep, in and out. I couldn't have said it better myself. It was a very, very interesting season. Yes. Glad you shared it with our listeners. Very interesting season. Very interesting postseason. Do you consider it a disappointment? Are you disappointed?
That's such a double-edged sword, or double-edged something else, but you know what I mean. Obviously, if you said disappointment before the playoffs started, if you said Celtics get to the Eastern Conference Finals and lose in 6, you would have been like, oh shit, they'll lose to Giannis in 6. I can deal with that.
Right.
But you lose to the Heat?
Tyler Hero?
Yeah.
Tyler who?
Duncan fucking Granite State Robinson?
Yep. The Admiral Jr. Not great. But it's interesting because it's like, okay, like if that's a disappointment, then what are the expectations as finals every year? You got within one game of the finals, 2 games with the finals. And honestly, I don't think the Eastern Conference Finals were that. The scores were pretty close, but I don't think it was very competitive. Like, I think they got their ass kicked the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, they never looked like the better team.
The Heat were always in control from start to finish.
Dude.
From
always.
tip to balls.
Yeah, always, bro. And now it's like, it's definitely not a good look if they get smacked in the finals too. Not off to a great start, if that's the argument. But I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't want to dive too deep into it. It kind of is what it is. We got other stuff to talk about. I mean, they'll handle their business in the offseason. They'll make a move here or there. I guess what's the big only real question mark? Hayward, maybe what he's going to do with his option, and then go from there.
Yeah, and a lot of people have already come out and said that he's going to take it. He's going to opt in.
Okay.
So I don't know that this team is going to look that much different.
I don't either. Who else is a free agent? Anyone?
That's notable? I don't think so.
Me neither.
The news I saw today was that Danny thinks like confidently enough to say it out in public that Tatum's going to be here for a long time, which is interesting.
I saw that. What's his contract? Is he still on his rookie deal?
Yep.
What did Kemba sign? Do you remember?
Or
he was a trade,
140.
Oh, really? No, was he a trade or a sign?
Either way, whatever it was, like the contract ended up being 4 for 140.
I understand.
I think he was technically traded for Terry, though.
Me too. Okay, but he's locked up. Jalen should come up for a contract before Tatum, right? Or did he already sign an extension?
He already signed it before this year.
That's right. Okay.
Danny got him on a steal.
Yeah, that's right. So this is Tatum's contract year then, coming up.
Yep. So that's why they're going to try to sign him before the season.
I would be interested in watching Jason Tatum play during a contract year, personally. Or if they lock him up before, I'm fine with that. So anyway, moving on. Are we ready to break the news on a certain individual?
Oh, yeah.
You ready?
Two new colors to welcome to this podcast.
I don't even know how I want to frame this, but I think we're officially, this podcast, at least between now and the end of the regular season, maybe now until the end of next season, this is an official LeBron podcast now. We're officially LeBron guys. Purchased our bandwagon tickets.
Podcast.
We're on, boarding, ready to go. And I feel great about it. So far, it's been good. LeBron Nation's been pretty welcoming. We've had a lot of Team LeBron on the show lately, actually, between Dragonfly and LeJethro and Josiah and whoever else.
Yep.
I like it here. I certainly do.
It feels good. It feels
great.
good to be home finally. I think I belong.
Mm-hmm.
Strive for greatness, obviously. Year 17.
Mm-hmm.
The Washed King.
Yep. Favorite one. I actually blew up and got a mural of that photograph of him sitting after the Western Conference Finals wearing his hat, looking rather upset, just sitting on the floor. So I knocked down the wall upstairs and I just put that mural on instead. It looks terrible, but it's well worth it. I called my realtor and she said this was an incredibly poor financial decision as far as resale value goes, but I didn't understand why. But anyway, it's there. It looks great.
I took it a step further.
Yeah.
I adopted a child named LeBron.
I adopted a child named James. Close enough. I mean,
Perfect.
I don't know. Yeah, between the two of them, we're LeBron James guys. But no, I mean,
they're literally LeBron James guys.
Yes, in fact, they are. But I don't know. I mean, we've always respected LeBron on the show. Yeah, I feel like we've talked a lot about him. Obviously, it's hard not to. I just can't do it anymore. Like, in all seriousness, I can't keep going through like the Twitter timeline and just seeing this guy get attacked from every possible angle. He doesn't do enough. He talks all this talk about equality and doing this. What is he actually doing? Oh, I don't know. He started a fucking school. He does everything in like 3 different communities. Yeah. He put Cleveland literally on the map. Yep. What else? Outside of winning championships, he's taken arguably some of the worst rosters to the finals.
I saw did a ton for his home state.
No shit, dude. It's like I saw something go, oh, I'm sorry. He posts on social media him coaching his fucking kids on the weekend.
Yeah.
He's not out cheating on his wife or getting in drug and gun charges.
You forget he did celebrate once when his kid had like a nice play in one of those games. LeBron attended as a parent and a fan of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And how dare he get on the court celebrating a good play?
Balls on that guy to pull a stunt like that.
The fucking Spaldings on that guy.
Seriously, bro, have you been on today? It's like one of them today, I think it was Skip, who's just gone off his rocker. I used to like Skip Bayless. Now it's just, we talk about this all the time, but these guys are just so laser focused on certain takes. Skip Bayless has the hardest job in America. He has to constantly go to sleep and wake up finding different ways to hate on potentially, arguably, at this point in his career, one of the hardest people to genuinely like discredit or like talk bad about. Yeah. The stuff with the decision, all of that stuff is way too far in the past to even focus. Like, that's not even a thing anymore. Plus, that doesn't even look that bad anymore. You know, now that we talk about things like Kevin Durant, like that's just, he was a free agent and he happened to announce his next career decision on live television. Whatever, not the end of the world. But I don't know. It's like, I'm just ready to accept it. I hope it does suck he plays for the Lakers. I'll say that as a Celtics fan, but
yeah, I'm
going to be pissed if somehow if the Heat win this year. I'm going to be pissed because this guy is just too generationally talented to have a 3-7 finals record. It's just not right.
Part of me, like a small part of me, is against the Heat. Like, part of the small reason why I don't want the Heat to win is just because I'm like, there's fucking Jimmy Butler and like two white guys that can shoot really well. I don't want those guys to win.
No, I don't either.
And there's like the play on Tatum, the dunk on Tatum. The block on Tatum by Bam. I'm like, anything to get that play further from like people's brains. But yeah,
mattering. Yeah.
I'm 100% rooting for the Lakers, and I'm like, I don't even give a shit at this point. Like, yeah, you can be.
No, I really don't.
I can be a fan of them for now, at least temporarily.
Yeah.
And like, I still like watching Rondo. He's a complete dickhead from all accounts. But I still like watching him play.
Sure.
I like watching LeBron play, and part of it is just like I've like wanted to deny this for so long, but after the Celtics, the Lakers have the best jersey in the NBA.
It's up there. Classics. It's a classic one. I agree.
The yellows are sick. Yep. And then the purple, I wish they just went – they almost brought back the purple exactly, but then they put the like black panels on the sides.
Yeah.
It's weird that they decided to go with a modern touch when the gold ones, they just went with the original ones. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking.
And I like how they've been wearing the higher shorts too. The Lakers as a team. That looks sick. It does. It's very, like we talk about all the time about like stuff coming back like as retro fashion. That looks sick now at this point. Especially with Braun. He looks good as a Laker. And that is a fun team to watch. Like, I mean, I don't think you even mentioned Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis is a fucking monster. And I said this too. I'm definitely ready to say this. Anthony Davis and LeBron James are, I think, without a doubt, his best duo like he's played with over his career. Like, they would wipe the floor with LeBron and Dwayne Wade, I think, back in those Heatles days. And LeBron, I think, was better back then.
Yeah.
But and Wade was great too, but and then Kyrie and LeBron was great, but whatever. LeBron and AD is a problem. Like, when those guys are clicking like they were last night, pretty much this whole playoffs, that's a problem. Because that roster around them really isn't very good at all. Like, I don't know. Who do you consider the third best player on the Lakers?
I think it's KCP.
Yeah.
That's not great. Hilarious.
Know who's balling is Alex Caruso. He can play. Like, he's not a joke. He looks like a joke, but he's not.
Boy, like, that guy is not invited to the Hair Havers Ball.
Hell no. That's a guy, like, and I don't mean to, stereotype or, anything like that, but if I saw that guy in the street, I would not assume he played for the I would not assume he was employed by the Los Angeles Lakers.
No.
I would assume he was employed by like Hannaford Supermarkets or like
I was
some
going to say
sort
the
of like
Proud Boys.
logistics company. Proud Boys. Yeah, no, maybe.
He does kind of, I don't know. He looks like American History X.
Yeah, American History C. Nah, man, he's playing. He can pass. He can move the ball. He can hold his own on the court with LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Not many people can do that.
Honestly, one of the best parts that comes out of like us being Lakers fans is following Twitter after he makes
I don't know if I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a LeBron fan.
Yeah, I'm a LeBron fan.
You know what I mean? That's not part of clinging on to a player. It's temporary.
Yeah.
Like when LeBron's done, I don't need to cheer for the Lakers. Like we're both Kobe guys.
Yeah.
I didn't root for the Lakers between Kobe and LeBron.
Right.
And even last year, LeBron. But I know what you mean. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that one of the funnest things about following Twitter during a Lakers game is anytime that Caruso does something good, there's immediately the funniest memes.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like him jumping from the free throw line, him like, I don't know, fucking scaling a tall building.
Yeah.
The Caruso.
Yeah. Even just like I had a thought earlier today too, just that like NBA duos in general. This has been a big narrative this year has been NBA duos. It's kind of like the new big three. It's like LeBron and AD, all the talk for like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, even before the playoff series. Harden and Westbrook. I don't know who else you would throw in there. Locally, maybe Tatum and Brown. Who else? Those are like the bigger names, I guess. Simmons and Embiid, some people say. It's not even close. There's no one even close to LeBron and AD in what they're doing as a tandem.
No.
And as first year teammates is crazy. Like that's why I said they're not. If they want to, they can sweep this series easily. Like even last night, Heat had an early, I think it was like up to 10, almost 15-point lead. They erased that, and then they were up 30 at one point, and then they just get to the end of the game. That I can see every game going like that if they want to, especially with no home court traveling back and forth. There's really no excuse for that not to happen.
Pull out the broomsticks.
Broomsticks.
Broom bristles in asses for sure.
Yes, sir.
I think AD might be the first of his kind in terms of how athletic he is as a center who can do anything. I think that phrase like make your own shot is typically something that I think of for a wing player or like a LeBron.
He can play ISO basketball.
Yeah, usually you can't say that for a center.
No.
And this guy's like, dude, I think of like Dave Chappelle being Prince playing basketball. He's just doing like stupid dribble moves. Yep. And it's like, this shouldn't work. This guy's 7 feet tall. I don't know, 250. Yeah. And he buried the game-winning three. Yeah, one single eyebrow. Buried the game-winning three in that game against the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine that play. I tweeted this. Imagine that play being called in the 90s for like Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Patrick, run around this Stark screen.
Yeah. All right.
And we'll hit you in the corner.
All right. We're going to get a screen for Zoe. We're going to isolate him up on the wing and let him cook.
Yeah.
Let him what? Cook what?
Hey, guys.
Oh, man.
Nick Anderson, if you could set a pick, let's go pick and roll with Shaq. Obviously, you got the ball, so if you want to pass back to Nick, that's fine. But if you want to take your defender one-on-one from three, go ahead.
Preheat the oven, baby, and let me cook. Let me roast. Once we get to half
chicken
court,
alert.
Give me the ball. But no, for real, it's like, and what's crazy is like, I think that's what like Joel Embiid thinks he's doing or like wants to do.
Yeah.
But he's just too fat. He's just too big. It'll never work. Anthony Davis is like the model hybrid for like a perfect player in the NBA right now. It's also, I think, what Giannis wants to do too, but he can't shoot. So he can take anybody one-on-one within the arc. But now, if you need Anthony Davis at a three, or if he's semi-open for a three, it's worth it to shoot it. Like he's a respectable 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy because in any given game, he can, like you said, he can get ISO himself for a corner three. He can post up on Bam. He can handle the ball somewhat effectively. And then, okay, we'll focus on him. And then you have like 6'9" LeBron playing fucking point guard. It's like, what are we supposed to do here?
Mm-hmm.
Like AD and LeBron can interchange center and point guard at any time.
I think the most unfair part is having LeBron as your point guard, but also pairing him with AD, Dwight Howard, and JaVale McGee as the centers. Dude, you're just asking for a lob on every possession that can happen. Or like LeBron will rebound the ball and just like blindly huck it 94 feet to the other end. And there's Anthony Davis either waiting for a perfect alley-oop or just catch one step and fucking posterize someone.
And then you have, if that doesn't work, the arc is just surrounded by guys like KCP, Danny Green, Kuzma, and Alex Caruso.
Carlito Kuzma.
Miami can't play that. Yeah. I don't know. It's like the one thing I thought, I will say the Miami Heat were a very frustrating team to watch in that series. They do have some cool players. I think I'll probably appreciate that once, the loss kind of gets further and further. But
yeah,
I think Bam's a cool player.
Yeah,
I think Tyler Hero's kind of cool. He's a little like snarky, a little wise ass, but it's cool to see a 20-year-old white kid do the stuff he does.
Yep.
It's motivating for me being a 30-year-old white kid to, you know what I mean? Like
same for me being a 31-year-old white guy.
Yeah, 31. That's what I meant. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we went back and forth between titles for the podcast. Two white guys talking sports was like 1A, and then I think it was already copyrighted, so we couldn't do it. But
right.
Anyway, we're LeBron fans. Yeah. And in conclusion, but no, it's like I said, we talk about it all the time, and I even talked about it when I was on Shoutout Dan Bolio and Shoutout Let Freedom Ring. We were both on that podcast recently. Go check that out. We were talking about sports moments and stuff, and it's like we had talked about it briefly. He was talking about like Jordan and LeBron. At this point, I'm gonna assume the Lakers win this year. 6 rings isn't outrageous anymore to think about. He wins this year; it's 4. I can't imagine the Lakers getting any worse. And I think the Clippers are dead. The only other thing that might jump is if Golden State gets relevant again, and then if like one of the younger teams actually takes a step up. It's not crazy to think LeBron can't win another 2 rings and, say he has like 4 or 5 years left playing this level of basketball. That's not crazy. If he gets to 6 rings, it's a completely. I think if he gets to 4 or 5 rings, that GOAT conversation is getting a little closer. He's never gonna do what he has to do to get like on the off the court kind of stuff like Michael that we saw on Last Dance. But like I told Dan, I was like, I do still consider MJ the GOAT, but I think in my opinion, LeBron is clearly number 2, and I think that gets closer and closer almost every year.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Maybe his athleticism is slightly down, but for whatever he's lost there, he's clearly the smartest IQ player in the game
ever.
And all the players, whether it's his opponents or teammates, always say like this guy thinks the game and he's always 2 steps ahead, which is nice. Like 1 step would be great in our profession.
Certainly,
2 steps. Fantastic.
I would like to see him go back to drinking wine on the sideline. I think that was really a good move for a number of reasons. It looks cool. Not quite.
I'd like to see a guy with his money fix his hair for real.
It's too late, I think. I think it's too late because it's like we know it's not legit.
Okay, if he doesn't fix his hair, this isn't a big like feet podcast, but have you ever seen his feet?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
like his bare feet?
Oh man,
are they bad? Yeah. I bet the majority of pro athletes' feet are.
He's got 6 toes on 1 foot. I'm pretty sure.
No, he doesn't.
No, I'm actually being serious.
Shut up.
I'm being serious.
That would be more public, I think. Widely known.
You might be right, but if you look at the picture, it looks like his like 5th pinky toe on one of his feet is like getting jealous of the other toes. It's like trying to climb on with the rest of them. It's really bizarre. Also, look up James Harden's feet. The listeners, look up James Harden's feet.
All right. I remember Antonio Brown's feet. We froze him off.
Oh,
that was a tough look. That's not important for a free agent wide receiver to take care of his feet. No, but anyway.
I don't even think he needs them.
Not both of them.
No.
Selfish. Completely selfish.
No. So no one wants to be defeated.
Undefeated. But no, we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a very fun finals. I think it's going to be pretty quick, and then we'll debate from there. It's a great part about the NBA. It's the minute the season ends, the next season begins, because the off season is typically just as exciting as the regular season.
I know we're not talking football, but it is so nice that football is going to be the thing. Well, we'll see. Yeah. If we get permission from the Tennessee Titans to proceed.
Yeah.
But football is going to be the thing that like holds us over until basketball. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, it is cool. Like flipping between NBA conference finals games and the NFL. And then, I mean, everything else going on. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. One last quick thing on LeBron I wanted to mention. Going back to all the stuff this guys get shitted on about. There's a great not even a meme, just a picture that resurfaced. It was from the 2018 finals, the last Cavs Warriors finals. And it was like the hype poster. And on one side, it was Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. On the other side, you know what I'm talking about? You saw that one? The other side, it was LeBron James, Kyle Korver, and Tristan Thompson. And it's I
was going to say JR.
What the fuck do you expect to happen? And remember in game one, he had like a 51-point triple-double. And they had a chance to win that game. That was the J.R. Smith score time clock game.
That could have completely turned the tide. Like
100, dude, they win game
because
one.
The rest of the games were also close. All right, at least game two was close again, too.
Yeah. Not great. I can't believe he's playing with J.R. Smith again. I can't believe it.
Speaking of pictures, I thought it was hilarious when the pictures came out the other day when they were like celebrating in the locker room. And I want to say that it was Caruso that had to take the picture because he was the only one that wasn't in it.
Yeah.
So people were pointing that out. And I was like, why the fuck does Caruso have to take that picture? Have JR, have
no respect.
Thanasis and Tetacumpo or whoever else is on that team take that picture junior. Who hasn't played.
Little freak.
Yeah. Super mini freak.
Super mini freak. No, that was a little disrespectful. That's one where it's like all right, like I don't want to bitch about it and be like, you know, do I really need to take the picture? But it's like I think I've earned the right to be in the picture. I don't know. I'm not this ain't that old Alex Caruso anymore. Like put some respect on my name real quick.
I'll respect to Scalabrine, but Scalabrine would be in that position, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. He doesn't fucking play.
Yeah. I think the difference is, well, maybe not. We'd have to ask a real Laker fan. Like, Scalabrine was easily the worst player on the team, but he was also, like, a fan favorite. Like, Scal had to be in that picture. I don't know if it's the same type of relationship with Caruso. And I think Caruso's better than Scal. Love him. You do? Like Scal in New England?
More so because he's athletic.
Oh, he's better than Scal.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I don't know if that – I think the worse Scal was, like, the more people liked him because he was just such a goofy character.
That's fair.
And plus, like, he's also a part of – like, he stayed as Boston, like, media and person and everything. So,
yeah. Caruso doesn't get put into, like, 20-point blowouts and have the fans chant his name to put up a three when they're up, like, fucking 30 points.
So embarrassing. That's not great.
Dude, no matter where he went, like he went to the Bulls
man.
After, and they did that to him too. And he must have been like, "Can I just play?"
Yeah, you know, like I do this for a living. Like this is how I support my family.
I'm better than everyone that's in this crowd.
For sure. They do that with Taco now.
Yeah,
I mean Taco, I can understand. He's a fucking freak named Taco, but it's like Franz Scalabrine was just a normal guy. Got drafted. They pay him a salary. It's like, yeah, if you want me to go in the game, I'm ready to go in the game, but this isn't I'm not the halftime show. Like I'm trying to put up numbers.
I think my contract here. I think being a pale redhead
didn't help.
I can't imagine that would help. Shout out to Josh Eves. Big listener to the show, by the way.
Great pale.
What's up, Eves? Hope you're listening.
What's up, Eves?
Appreciate your support.
Yes. We'd appreciate some more financial support if you want to Venmo us some advertising dollars next
Still
time,
waiting on the
cheapskate.
Big time.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a more organized franchise in the NBA, a team that really has their head on their shoulders.
Sure.
The Brooklyn Nets. let's get caught up to speed. I think the last time we talked about the Nets was Spencer Dinwiddie's Bitcoin contract negotiation. That has since ceased.
You're leaving out Garrett Temple.
Respect. We had a lot of hopes for Garrett Temple, and boy, did he disappoint.
I honestly think if somehow, I was going to say if they won the NBA title, but if they had advanced in the playoffs and he had a big role, Garrett Temple would be next on this show as a guest.
I bet he would. Like, who else would DM him clips from a podcast like praising him? Probably no one. No disrespect, but probably no one.
I assume you're listening, Garrett, and he's still welcome, and I still think we have a chance, but would have been way more likely.
I don't think either of those things.
Okay,
but anyway, was he a starter?
If he wasn't a starter,
How do you not start on that team?
He was one of the first guys off the bench.
Boy, oh boy. Anyway, so he signed Kyrie Irving. He played a little bit this season.
Yeah.
They signed Kevin Durant. He didn't play at all this season. Most
Kyrie
recently,
played well too.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Maybe
I want to say he was averaging 25.
I remember he had like a couple 50-point games.
Yep.
Didn't really do any good. But anyway, most recently hired Steve Nash as their head coach. Interesting hire. I don't think we really talked about that when that came out like a month or so ago. I didn't even know Steve Nash was looking to coach.
I didn't either.
Let alone head coach, potentially one of the more high profile rosters going into the next season.
Yeah.
That's a weird way to say dysfunctional. One of the most dysfunctional rosters going into the next season.
Yeah. Hence the backlash, because you and most of the world was like, when the fuck did that guy say that he was looking to coach?
Yeah. And not to go down too much of a thing, but it's been a lot of talk about the lack of hiring black coaches in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of them out there. And then Steve Nash virtually, I don't even know if he interviewed. I think they just like texted him and said, yo, you want to work here? My company's hiring.
Send us a video.
We have a pretty sick recruitment bonus if you can drop my name at the interview. And then that's it.
He just, instead of a resume, he just sent him a picture of his like clipboard. Like drop your best play.
Yeah. He mailed him his 2003, 2004 NBA Topps basketball card and said, here's my headshot and some of my stats from 10, 15 years ago. I hope his headshot was from his days with Dallas when he had like his frosted tips. That was probably the best Steve Nash. Like, he's had some absurd looks.
Yeah.
The frosted tips, even like during his MVP years, that's when he had like his Jim Halpert haircut. Like by the fourth quarter, his hair would literally like be over his face. Trying to play
that's a nice way to put
of all
it.
Positions. Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it, because I was going to say that was his Kyle Singler days.
Oh, yeah. Much more similar to Kyle Singler. That's disrespectful to Jim Halpert. That's my bad. He's a big fan of the show, big supporter.
Shout out to John.
Shout out Tuna. Yeah. But those Suns teams just looked bad. I don't know if we've ever talked about that. That's definitely towards my bottom list of fire jerseys of all time. Those Phoenix Suns, they're always wicked baggy. They had like the straight cutoff down here, like the orange with the gray sleeves and like the PHX with like the weird purple like oval around it. Did you like those? You probably did.
No, but are you saying that you liked them?
No, I hated them.
Oh, okay.
And I think they just looked like trash too, because that was during the era where everything was baggy. Steve Nash looked like shit. He was like he just didn't look like a good player. But don't judge a book by its cover. But those were just like some slot. Like Shaq looked like shit playing in those jerseys, like on that team.
I never understood why during like one of their alternate jerseys too, and it may have been during like Spanish Heritage Night. It would always say like the 105 Suns.
What are you talking about?
Wait, what are you talking about?
I thought you meant like the Los Suns jersey.
Is that what that said?
Are you serious?
I thought everyone just had 105 on their jersey.
No, it's Spanish, you idiot. Los Suns. But still, those look stupid. There were a few teams that did that. El Heat, I remember, was a good one.
Los Lakers.
Oh God. Like, there's some franchises you just can't mix it up. El Heat, Los. I really don't remember Los Lakers, but I believe you. Los Heat, Los Suns, I remember. Celtics didn't do anything like that, did they?
No.
No, the most racist sports town in America. Of course not.
Yeah. I'm
like
not even sure that they
too.
still do that night anymore.
No, they don't. Or I don't. I thought they did it like multiple times during a season. Like I remember seeing it all the time.
They definitely did, and for multiple seasons. And I feel like that could be problematic now, or someone would complain about it.
Oh, someone would complain about it. Someone could complain about anything. It's very easy to find things to complain about. But anyway, we digress. Kyrie was he on KD's show, The Boardroom?
Yeah. Durant
quite literally
has like 3 podcasts now.
I know. I only saw the clips, like not even the audio clips, like the graphics with the word. I didn't listen to it. I didn't watch it. I will say this. I do like listening to Kevin Durant talk. He was on, you sent me the one, he was on JJ Redick's podcast. JJ, if you're listening, come on our show.
Seriously, what the fuck, dude?
I do like listening to Kevin Durant talk.
I do too.
I think he taught, I think it's because he's close to our age. He's a little out there. He's not Kyrie, but I think he's interesting to listen to. Kyrie today just says things, and we talked about this before, but like when he had this thing about the NBA season coming back, and he's like, I don't think we should go. I'm going to form my own league. The earth is flat, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And then remember people jumped back on the Kyrie bandwagon when it was like the protests and everyone's like, oh, well, this is what Kyrie was talking about. I genuinely don't think it was. But anyway, now I'm back to just thinking this guy's a lunatic, or not a lunatic, just having no, like if Reading the Room was a rating on 2K, like he'd be a 0. Like you got to like put a little thought into what you're saying. He basically said today what? He said he had this another slight at LeBron, basically saying like, correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, this is like the first time I have a teammate like I'm comfortable deferring to, like to take a shot or like in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Talking about Garrett Temple, I assume. Like that's so disrespectful.
Very disrespectful.
You know what I mean? Like Garrett Temple is great.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been talking about Durant now that I think about it. But either way, it's like, bro, LeBron fucking carried you for a few years, made you relevant. I didn't even think of him as by far and away the go-to closer on the Celtics. Like he was just too much of a nutbag. And then, well, before we get to the other one, what were your thoughts on that take?
So I did find the audio of the clip.
Oh, okay.
It sounds a little less offensive than it reads. I'll say that. So I'll give him the
fake news.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, big fake news. The thing about the quote about like the coach where he said, well, I don't feel like we really have a head coach. I think it's almost like a coach by committee. That wasn't his exact words, but he was just like, sometimes it may feel like I'm the coach, or sometimes it may feel like KD's the coach. And it's like, yeah, like you said, it's like you go to his 2K, handles 95, shooting 92, self-awareness TBD.
NA. Well, okay. Actually, now that you say it, it's still not a great thing to say, especially with a first-year coach, especially with a team that's done nothing so far. I guess I can see it in a context like, hey, like there might be a scenario where, like you said, like, hey, Kevin might coach us up on a play, or I can coach us up. But either way, if you include the verbiage, whatever it was, like, we don't have a coach, or it was some sort of discredit to Steve Nash.
Yeah.
At the same time, Steve Nash is like, what the fuck did this guy do? You know what I mean? It's like, he didn't even give me a chance yet, but it's going to be I've said this before, it's going to be a super interesting team to watch. I can't wait. Because I think no matter what, they can't be bad. Like they can't be, I can't see them being a sub 4 or 5 seed in the East unless it truly unravels. But I think that's going to be damn near impossible.
When you say East, Eastern Conference
of the National Basketball Association.
Whew. All right. Like I said, people can complain about everything these days. So
I guess so.
I wasn't sure where you were headed with that.
I laid it out pretty clear.
Okay.
But we'll see. I mean, it'll be a story every night because who knows what literally, who the hell knows what Kyrie's motivation is. KD, I'm just as sure as what I do like about KD is he does talk a lot. He says some crazy things, but he oftentimes he falls back on like, I'm just trying to hoop. Like, I think he's genuinely just a guy who wants to go out and play basketball and get respect, win rings, clearly, whatever. So we'll see. I did see another post. Did you see this? I think I saw them speaking of jerseys, bringing back for some games those, like, I think they're like the 90s jerseys, like with the blue and like the red Nets lettering, like the Kenny Anderson jerseys. Those are dope.
Ooh.
I'll find it. I saw it. It was on like Complex or something like that. So it was on a real source. Those would look fire.
Hell yeah.
And I do like the Brooklyn jerseys. I like the bougie sweat, the Coogee sweater Brooklyn jerseys. That will be a dope team. Like that is going to be a badass team if Steve Nash of all people can keep them together. But I don't know. We'll see.
Wait.
Yes.
There was that other development where they finally admitted to that they like came up with this plan in that video over the All-Star break where they were talking in the locker room, or they were talking in the hallway. Yeah. And everyone was speculating like one of them was even fucking making the hand gesture like 2, as in, hey man, 2 max spots in Brooklyn next year. And then they came out and denied that story for the longest time. And Kyrie was like, man, that's why I don't get caught up with the media. They make a mountain out of a molehill, and that's why I don't mess with this stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, Durant just admitted that's exactly what happened.
He did that today? He admitted that today?
I think it was in that same podcast.
That's kind of fucked up. Like why? Like, A, why would you admit that? And B, I don't know. Like, Kevin Durant talks all the time, every interview he's on, about being, people thought he was going to go to the Knicks. And every time he's like, no, like, I never was going to go to the Knicks. Like, why would people think that? Because you made it seem like you might go to the Knicks. Like, that was like the story on everything. Like, you talked about taking meetings with the Knicks. You never denied it. It's just silly. It's like, I don't know. It's like, that's why I think like the NBA offseason is fun, but these players, I think, eat it up. Like, they know what they're doing. Like, they're putting on a show.
If Celtics fans are still listening to us right now, hopefully everyone remembers that game. I think it was, I know who it was against. It was against the Rockets. It was a weekend game. So I want to say that, like, that's another reason why it caught more attention. But Kyrie was walking into the building and they showed him, in his street clothes.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was mouthing the words, sick of this bullshit.
It's a Saturday night game.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
And everyone was like, oh,
awesome.
Thanks, Kai.
Yeah.
Looking forward to watching you tonight.
Yeah. Then it was like, was that before or after he made his like little half-court announcement about coming back next season?
That was after.
If we'll have him.
This was well into like the, oh boy, he hates us.
Yeah. Yeah. The falling out. Those were really uncomfortable times. Those weren't fun.
That felt like,
I didn't know who I wanted to win. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch the
Patriots a little bit.
I think he was. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good comparison. This guy fucking hates it here.
Yeah, just putting down the other players afterwards, or at least not being supportive. Brady wouldn't just like completely shit on people. Kyrie would always try to sound like a father figure, and he is a smart guy, but I think sometimes he gets caught up in his own brain, where I want to say his brain just works faster than the words that come out of his mouth. And then he just ends up word vomiting on you and nothing makes sense.
I certainly wouldn't want to get caught up in Kyrie Irving's brain.
No.
I don't know how I would get out. That'd be like a Black Mirror episode or like American Horror Story. But I don't know. He's talking. They're talking. We'll see. It'll be fun. Anything else on the National Basketball Association before we transition? A couple other things.
I thought that I had another thing about Kyrie and KD, but last thing. I just don't understand necessarily why they picked Steve Nash, because most of the time in that situation, from what we're told, the star players dictate what happens in the league.
Yeah.
Whether it's like player transactions or coaches. So how the fuck did they choose Steve Nash, a white guy, especially when there's like, there is so much attention on the lack of exposure for black coaches and the lack of opportunity.
Candidates. There are viable African-American candidates.
Jacques Vaughn is right there on the team. And I can't remember if he like coached them last year after Kenny Atkinson or whatever.
Who's their coach this year?
That's what I'm saying. I think it was him.
He filled in for who was their coach?
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson.
Was he
So it's
white or
like
black?
Jacques Vaughn.
No, the Kenny Atkinson guy.
He's white.
And then
he looks like Quinn Snyder. Very white.
Oh yes.
Very white.
And then, and then the interim head coach was black.
Yeah, former player too. So it's like you would think that he kind of had an in with the team there. So that's why I don't understand. Well, then why would you hire Steve Nash, who doesn't have coaching experience, unless the two guys really wanted him? So I was like, that's got to be it.
Yeah,
he did work for the Warriors as some sort of consultant. There's pictures of him being on the court pregame with the Warriors, like during the Durant years. And
Steve Nash? Oh, okay.
And so I could understand like Durant wanting him there. Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, maybe then Kyrie also wanted him there. But now I'm thinking, what if this is the first step in their fucking disagreement, which is that Durant wanted him, Kyrie didn't, and the organization just went with the better player's choice. So who the fuck knows?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would assume two high-profile guys like that would have maybe not a say in the hiring, but kept in the loop with what's going on, like who we're interviewing, who we're serious about. What do you guys think? I mean, I agree. I thought they probably were in it too because, Kyrie Irving's a point guard. So it's like, hey, maybe Steve Nash is a good fit for you and come in. He can teach you a little bit. But I don't know. Who the fuck knows, man? I mean, and again, that's not a discredit to Steve Nash. They hired him for a reason. Hopefully it was for a real reason. And it shouldn't, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like, okay, like we need to hire a black coach because that's what we should do now. No, not necessarily, but you know what? It is like it's a telling stat when you look at the percentage, especially, NFL is even worse. I think Mike Tomlin's the only name that stands out to me. It's Mike Tomlin and
Anthony Lynn.
Yep. If he's still there, Todd Bowles got fired. Dennis Green got fired, then died. Not his fault. The kid, the guy from the Patriots too, Brian Flores. He's black. Yep. But anyway, it's like it's something that is, since people are talking about it, it's obviously somewhat relevant. So I don't know. We'll see. And then actually, speaking of black coaches, it looks like Doc Rivers is going to the Sixers too. As of
that's another thing I don't understand. Part of the reason that Kawhi went there was supposedly because he wanted to play for Doc Rivers because he thought Doc was a player's coach, obviously being in LA, but that was a lot of the reason why he pretty much sat out on the Spurs a couple seasons ago, was because he didn't get along with Popovich anymore. And I don't think that he was a huge fan of how Pop treated everyone equally, whether you were a star or whether you were the last guy off the bench. And I think same for Paul George. I think Doc Rivers, maybe Paul George wanted to go there to
too close.
Talk about mixing business with pleasure.
Talk about mixing all sorts of things that shouldn't be mixed. But no, I thought to your point, Doc Rivers was a great fit for that team. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. I heard something interesting today. I don't know if it was on some radio show. I think it was on Fox, so it might have either been The Herd or something else. But I thought this was an interesting angle. So remember Paul George came out and was after the season and was like, basically said something along the lines of like, we never considered this like a championship or bust type of season. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to say that? Okay. And then I think it was Colin Cowherd, actually. He's like, okay, from Steve Ballmer's perspective, he's like, all right, I just dropped all this money on this team, a new stadium, not a new coach, but new players. Was the messaging, was I not clear that this was a win a championship or bust season? I think there was some the messaging might have been lost in translation between head coach to Paul George. Because yes, Paul, I would have preferred to win a championship this year. Hey, shout out to whoever's listening. I certainly would have paid for it, and I did pay for it. And boy, did they not deliver. So I don't know if that had something to do with it too, but it all depends who they hire. You know what I mean? That's got to be one of the more high pressure jobs going into next year. Coach of the Clippers, taking over that shit, taking over for Doc Rivers on a season which has to be championship expectations after that shit show. So that'll be an interesting storyline too.
Dude, try to apply that level of thinking to like any job. I know that we're going to touch on this in a moment, but apply that level of like, oh, you just got hired and you get to the end of year review and your boss is like, yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to have to list you as whatever they usually do, like performing, I don't know, average, and then underperforming. And you come in at like above average, and your manager's like, yeah, I mean, you had a good year, but we certainly would have liked to seen you take some steps over these past 12 months to hit goal more consistently and by a higher margin. And you just tell your boss like, yeah, I mean, when you hired me, I didn't think that's what you had in mind for me. Like, I thought you'd be happy with
kind of guy.
Yeah, I thought you'd be happy with good, but not necessarily great. I didn't realize it had to be great immediately. Like, geez, fucking back off.
Yep. Unfortunately, I think it happens all the time, all around this great country. That's an outstanding segue. You mentioned earlier, as much as we praise the NBA bubble handling COVID-19, the NFL has done a pretty good job so far. Unfortunately, we ran into our first outbreak. Jesus, bug in here. First outbreak of the season, courtesy of none other than Clay Travis's Tennessee Titans. Mr. Corona Bros himself. There was an outbreak. I think this was as early as like Monday. So this must have been like right when they got on the plane leaving the Vikings game. Like, let's pass around some tests. Let's do our thing. Oh, shit. Sorry, coming back positive. Spread, personnel, players, whatever. And this is obviously, it's not funny, but I thought it was interesting. The story I read on ESPN was, all right, you know, Titans players tested positive. We don't know if they're going to play next week. They're going to close down the facilities and work from home for the next few days, possibly throughout the week. And I guess I get it. I just think I'm going to be perfectly honest. I've never coached in the NFL. It's got to be hard to run a full pads, full contact practice while working remotely. I can only imagine.
How do you break up a fight?
How do you snap the ball? How do you fucking, I don't know. Like I tweeted earlier, I was like, all right, guys, we're going to have Oklahoma drills at 12:30, offensive line and defensive line individuals, 1:30, Zoom invite to follow. Try not to be late.
Have you ever been in an online pig pile?
No, I haven't. Not recently, not voluntarily, but
that's for the other show.
I think their game Sunday was officially postponed. Or I know it is.
Yeah.
So that's not a great sign. Now guys on the Steelers are pissed. Somehow the Vikings, who they played Sunday, last I heard today was they had no positive tests, which I find that hard to believe. That means like everyone caught COVID-19 after the game. Like no one had it on the field. Because how do you not catch? What's the difference between Titans players catching it from each other and the team they're facing on the field?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It's got to be, unless it was literally the only players who were positive were not on the field, or it started with a personnel guy, like a fucking like towel boy, and he spread it like on the bus or the plane or something. But I've said it before, man. I found it very hard to believe that there was like one guy in the Falcons. Besides that, there wasn't a single real positive case through the first 3 weeks. That seems very, very hard to believe. Would you agree? Especially not being in a bubble? Like,
I don't know how the fuck they're doing it.
I don't either. Like, if this virus is as contagious and whatever fast spreading as they make it sound, those two things just don't add up. I find it very, very hard to believe because there's so many people on each team, players, personnel, people in the locker room, you know what I mean? People just around the facility, that times 30 with traveling, 15 teams traveling every week. I found that very hard to believe. And now it's like, now they're really cracking down on coaches wearing masks and this and that. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, you know, it's not because same thing happened in baseball. The Marlins were the first team to like have a big outbreak. Now they're in the playoffs. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully it, I don't know, urges players to take it a little more seriously and do what they have to do. But it made me think long and hard about work from home in general and kind of how that's just part of our life now.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, one of the last occupations I thought would ever go work from home is an NFL football team. And we put it on the Instagram poll and got some terrific responses. Any jobs that jump out to you that you think would be interesting if it was deemed work from home here on out?
I got a few.
Okay.
Let me pull this up. A security guard.
Damn near impossible.
I'm not sure how you would do that. Like, imagine being a bank security guard and they're like, yeah, you can do this from your desk. Just make sure to stay logged in.
Mm-hmm.
We're watching.
Mm-hmm.
But
no funny business.
No. If anyone tries to get in or tries to get into the back vault, you know what to do. I'd be like,
I don't.
No,
okay.
I certainly do not know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, figure it out because there's no excuses. No excuses whatsoever.
Mailman.
Damn near impossible. There's enough controversy around the U.S. Postal Service nowadays. Certainly don't need those guys working from home. I know one guy who would have a big problem with that.
Oh, God.
Big problem.
Boy, yeah, November 3rd. No one would be working from home on November 3rd. I know that much.
Get your ass out of bed and get in the office today of all days. No excuses. Absolutely no excuses. Maybe even more importantly to that point, the people who maintain the physical post office public drop-off locations. Those guys, I need you at attention, strapped, ready to defend.
Big time.
Certain people might want that, might care a little more about that.
Those guys are in the trenches.
Certainly are.
The male trenches. Next one, another type of guard.
Mm-hmm.
Crossing guard. Show me someone who can do that remotely.
Not safely, not effectively.
No.
If I'm crossing the street, I'll be honest. Like, I don't know how much those people get paid, but I don't know about you. I feel a hell of a lot safer crossing the street when I know there's a licensed professional crossing guard doing his or her thing right directly in the middle, hands up. Those four-way stops, they have their hands full with those four-way stops. Thank God. God forbid those traffic lights go down. It's Armageddon if you don't have those guys out there doing their thing. God bless the crossing guards.
I was going to ask, can you picture a crossing guard in any situation besides a school zone, though? Okay, besides a school zone and like a big city, where else do you typically see a crossing guard? I was trying to think of that today.
I don't know, but
besides, and also besides the crossing guard, like weekly conventions that you go to.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot. It's Crossing Guards Anonymous, so I'm really not supposed to talk about it out in public to non-members, but it's okay.
Talk about crossing the line.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say originally cross-dressers, but I suppose you can do that anywhere. That's the beauty of the occupation.
That's why it's such a booming industry.
Yeah. Now, crossing guards, they're efficient with their time. You know, they're where you need them. School zones, airports, busy streets. But I would encourage some more volunteer crossing guards, just helping out where they need to be. Throw on the vest, get your whistle ready. If you see traffic heavier than usual, you might have to intervene.
Yeah.
With your point, can't do that behind a Zoom screen.
Nope. You definitely better have good arms too.
Good arms and good endurance.
Two of them.
Yeah. I wonder if crossing guards are like retail workers, like a nice Saturday afternoon, the store's dead. You can kind of slack off, shoot the shit. But then you see a rush of customers. And it's like, oh, fuck. All right. So I'm wondering if crossing guards get pissed when they see a group of 40 kids who all happen to come to cross the street at once. And it's like, all right, you got to do a quick stretch. You might have your arms out there for minutes at a time.
Oh, yeah. I think that they get kind of pumped. They're like,
A good crossing guard does.
Yeah.
Someone who takes their job seriously and respects the occupation. Yes, I agree.
Imagine they see a group of kids approaching. Kids are about to get to the light, and the crossing guard's like, whoa, wait, whoa, hold up. Don't even think about pushing that button. No need here.
I got it.
This one's on the house.
I'm picturing like those things going around. Jimmy Butler just had one, and LeBron had one earlier in the playoffs. Like the kids coming up, and the crossing guard getting in the zone, just sitting on the bench, just like, all right, let's do it.
I just thought of something.
Hits the extra button on the vest. Gives the traffic coming not an official stop, but a warning, a glare. Hey, I'm coming. You're stopping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming. You're stopping. They're crossing, and that's it.
We both know what's going to happen here. Let's not
handle
make this
this
difficult
like
for anyone.
professionals. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me do what I do best. You do what you do best. And God damn it, let's get these kids across the street. That's a crossing guard.
Dude, imagine you and I both have some sales backgrounds. Sure. Imagine if a crossing guard had a quota, first of all.
End of the month quota.
And then two, one of the things that I've heard in a lot of jobs is like when you get to the end of a sale or a transaction, the one thing you can't forget is ask for referrals.
Absolutely. That's how you grow the book. So a couple things there. I'm thinking as far as end of the month quota goes, they'd be like persuading people to like cross the street who otherwise like weren't planning on it. Like a family like at a picnic table, like enjoying their meal, their ice cream, and the crossing guard just being like, hey, like, have you seen across the street? They just came by and brushed it off. There's things happening over there.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we go check it out? I got this one. Come on. Help get them across. They have like a little clicker they have to keep track of like everyone coming in.
Listen, I've helped families like you all day today.
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of cool things happening on the other side of the street. Hey, if you have 5 minutes, I'd love to sit down and tell you all about it. What do you say? And then, it's a numbers game. We know sales. The more people you ask, the more opportunity you have. But yeah, you gotta close. You've got to close in this game. If you're not closing, you're losing. And then once they cross, hey, if you enjoyed your experience today, I'd encourage you to write down five or six friends or family members who you think might want to cross the street sometime soon. I'd love to help them out. What do you say?
His business card is just the street address.
It's just the business card with the latitude, longitude of the corner. Oh, man. Imagine being a substitute crossing guard. I bet they're out there. Like just getting the call. Like, hey, fucking Wally called out sick. Can you go hit up the corner of 3rd and Smith from 7 a.m. to 7:15 today for 3rd grade cross? Yep. He's like getting ready in the mirror, like talking to his dog. All right, this is it.
Yeah, for some reason putting on a shirt and tie.
Yeah. And then throwing on his reflector shield. So, hey, honestly, no disrespect. Shout out crossing guards.
Yeah. Dude, growing up
from home, I don't know how it would work. Wouldn't be as safe.
Growing up, real quick, and I only have, I think I have one more.
That's
thing. I think it was in elementary school. I lived pretty close to the school, so my mom would just walk me to school. The crossing guard, shout out to him. There's no way this man is alive. He was old back then, so
okay.
I would assume he's older now.
I'll be respectful. Okay.
Yeah. Was the nicest guy, like gave me a hug every single day. I'm not making this up. I don't know if he was trying to hit on my mom, maybe. Who the fuck knows? But this guy was the nicest, like Santa Claus type guy, just kind of jolly, exactly what you would picture out of just an old man who's doing this. Like he must have been semi-retired at that point.
Yeah, it's typically not someone's full-time job.
No, but anyways, shout out to his name is Stanley. Shout out to Stanley. I don't know your last name, but if you have any family members listening,
we'll send him a T-shirt.
Yeah,
just hit our DMs. Yeah. No, it's a lost art. It's an art form, really.
Sure is. It's like the mid-range game. People don't do it enough.
Sleep on it. But if you do it right, you do it right.
Yeah.
This kind of sucks. So I just realized, since it's been over 24 hours since that Instagram story, the responses didn't save. So from what I can remember, at least, we had a few people reach out. Not sure if we should mention anyone by name for whatever reason, but what did we talk about? Oh, actually, we talked about the debate first. And I really don't want to go on a tangent about the debate. We don't really do that shit here. But I had the question of who would be a better moderator for the debate coming up, because guy did fine. Thought he was a little over his head at some points. We got some pretty common answers. A lot of people say Joe Rogan. Okay, it's fine. I don't give a shit. I'm going to shout him out because he's an employee and he's a big part of the show. So our super producer Brian Leahy helped us out with a few responses. He had some good ideas. His first idea was Sopee. I assume he means you, unless he knows another one. I would like to watch you moderate a debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Oh man, I would be. And by the way, like I didn't know any of these answers for the listeners because
God damn, I'm so pissed, dude. I might be able to find them, but I remember the good ones.
Yeah, so this is the first time I'm hearing of these. My first reaction to that is, man, I get so stressed out when people are yelling in front of me. I fucking hate that.
It is, yeah.
Like great. I'd be throwing Cheetos at Trump and fucking hearing aid at Biden. Just piles of both near me.
Yeah.
I think that's how I get them to shut up.
I think they both like that as well.
So that's true. That might be a reward more than a punishment.
I remember a couple other responses. Someone threw Dave Chappelle out. That would be entertaining.
Oh God.
You wouldn't stand
white person voice.
Much better. That character moderating the debate. Was it Chuck Jones? Chuck Taylor?
I think so, yeah.
Great character.
That stupid wig.
Yeah. The one from Trading Spouses, and the news anchor from the reparations skit, which is an all-time great skit. Someone else threw out Michael Scott, which would be entertaining. And then I think that was the best one for those ones. The other one I asked or put out there was like we were just talking about work from home jobs that might not work. I think someone else said actually a crossing guard. Or no, someone said a toll booth operator, which would be almost similar to the bank security guard, which would be incredibly frustrating because, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like on the honor system. Like, it's just a computer there reminding, hey, like, just put $1 in the basket and I'll let you through.
Yeah.
I think most people would do it, but there's going to be those rascals who either flip the guy off or flip a milkshake at the screen, or
I was going to say they throw like a bowling ball instead of 3/4.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember the days like with the actual bucket you would throw change in at a toll booth?
Have they gotten rid of that though?
Oh, hell. Oh God. Yeah.
They have.
Yeah. Oh, like 15 years ago.
This is going to sound mean. I know I've said this to you before and I still think it's funny. It's fucked up, but it is funny.
It's similar to your April Fool's Day jokes. It's not funny.
Yeah. I think it would be hilarious. Shout out to all my toll booth working friends. I wouldn't do this, but if I saw a video on like fucking World Star, it was someone pulling up to one of those old style toll booths and they just throw like a hot coffee or like they take a roll of quarters and throw it right at the employee.
That's assault.
That's mean. There is some humor in that.
That's not much different than a drive-by. Would you do that to a crossing guard?
No, hell no.
That guy Stanley? Yeah. Then what's the fucking difference?
Stanley earned his stripes. I know him personally. Jeez, I don't know.
You know you pay those guys salary, your tax dollars.
I do. That's even more reason. Here, take this coffee. You need it. Don't sass me next time I drive through here. They actually
get paid surprisingly well. I remember hearing that.
Everything that we've talked about does between them and the Postal Service.
Yeah.
Any sort of
government job.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
I had one.
Go ahead.
A teacher at a school for the blind.
Yeah. Very tough. I would assume teaching blind kids is hard enough. Having to do it over video conference, damn near impossible. Because who knows? Who the fuck knows?
How do you
God forbid, like one of the students can't find their unmute button or like turn the volume up. You're gonna miss the entire lecture.
Oh man. That would ruin the whole class for everyone.
A pro would be you literally can like wear whatever you want as a teacher. Do whatever you want.
That's true.
The negative would be everything else outside of that. It's similar to like when we talked about like I like this podcast. I think we're doing a lot of good things. I wouldn't recommend it for someone who's deaf. Like they're, you know what I mean? Like they're just not going to get the most out of it.
No.
Sorry. That's why we do the YouTube now.
I wouldn't recommend it for someone who hates two white guys. Do not enter.
Do not enter. Cease and desist. The other one, I think OG are from Brian. Shout out Brian, another Brian, OG sneaker nerd. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Great dude. Go back and listen.
Can't be
to
a day
episode.
over 25, by the way.
Nah, hell no. I think he threw out strippers, which is great, but I think that just would be downgraded to like webcam girls at that point. Oh yeah, something like that. That's basically a stripper who works from home.
Yeah, that's a lucrative, like,
I've heard.
If anything, that's a preferred way to do it.
Some would say easier. So again, some would say. Some people just like that good old fashioned up close and personal. shout out Magic City. Shout out Tyler I Am.
I was gonna say some people like to get the ink under their fingernails, but I know it's not ink at a strip club. We'll leave it at that.
Some people do everything on their phone. Some people are good old fashioned pen and paper. Can't knock them. Can't knock the hustle. This is really, really irritating me, but this is a learning experience for next time. I'll have to screenshot the answers.
Yes.
I don't remember what the third question is I asked.
I can't remember either, but while you try to remember, I have one final one.
Go ahead.
Brain surgeon.
Okay, couple things. Yes, obviously. But I will say, in all seriousness, one of the silver linings is, I don't know if you've done it, but
brain surgery? No.
Not brain surgery. Just like visiting your doctor or like going to the doctor in general, you can do a lot of it over Zoom and like telemedicine. It is rather frustrating, but surgery, I'm old fashioned. I would prefer to get a set of hands on me and do it the old fashioned way. Open heart surgery, I couldn't imagine it. It's just the doctor on Zoom instructing you how to do it from your house. They mail you an anesthetic, a local anesthesia. And he's like, all right, like let's get our caps on, gloves, grab ask for a scalpel.
Yeah.
Start with a small incision and then go from there. I feel like that's a scene out of like an action movie or something. Like, or like it's mostly like detonating a bomb, like over the Zoom, like, hey, like do this. Brain surgery would be tough.
There's two things.
I don't know.
Two things.
Real quick, if anyone's listening who's done a DIY brain surgery, we'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, if we know any brain surgeons, get in the DMs.
It's like like brain surgery for dummies, like a textbook, just walking you through it. Like a Home Depot, like brain surgery and 1, 2, 3 easy steps.
There's really, so my response to that is there's really only one major flaw that I can think of with the whole like doing it over Zoom, which happened to me. So I made an appointment to get a physical, and I was told, the usual, like feel around your throat, make sure there's no lumps, taking a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out, do it kind of slow. They gave me the Taylor hammer to test my reflexes on my knee. And then we get to the end and it was the old, it was the grand finale, the old turn and cough.
Certainly.
And I was more than happy to oblige. And I found out that someone had hacked the Zoom call. So it wasn't even my doctor.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
Right?
That's just malpractice, to say the least.
Yes.
We're talking about practice. My goodness. We're talking about malpractice. Shout out AI. Scary world.
Indeed.
I wouldn't be surprised if one day, like, there's hands-off, like, surgeries. Like, either with robots.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like, if it gets to the point where you can scan a patient, see exactly what they need, and you can program, like, an AI robot to perform and sequence exactly the right thing to do a successful surgery, that would be sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's because, well, I don't know if that'd be sick. That'd probably be terrible. But it sounds like something that I could see happening within the next 50 years, which lines right up when I'm an old man and may need that surgery. So that would be kind of frightening.
Imagine being delivered bad news by a robot.
Yeah.
Like a completely compassionateless robot.
It just like rolls out into the waiting room. Your family is dead. It just backs up. Okay. Thanks, robot.
He didn't make it. Check out this way.
It just prints out a bill. It just shoots it out too, and it just has like a credit card slot that starts flashing like green. Oh no, that would just be the end of modern medicine as we know it. I wish Ari was here, an actual medical professional to win, but I hope that's not the case. Call me crazy. I like getting my physicals physically, not virtually.
No,
but I'm old school.
I don't like virtuals.
Nah, not a big virtual physical guy. But let's wrap up here. Running a little late. So, in conclusion, RIP Celtics. We're LeBron guys.
Yep.
Front of that bandwagon. Love it here. Kyrie's still crazy. Steve Nash can't be feeling great about his new job. No. Imagine coming home your first day from a new job. You walk in, your husband or wife. All right, so I know you're a little nervous today. How'd it go? Not bad. None of my employees seem to think I mean anything. But besides that, not bad. Oh, yeah. Besides the fact that my two best players think I'm fucking useless. Not bad. So we'll see. And the thing is, I think Steve Nash could be a good coach. Like, I think he'd be a great coach. I will say this. Doesn't make you feel like old as shit, like seeing like these players we watched in their prime now coaching.
Yep.
This is like the equivalent of like watching Phil Jackson like playing for the Knicks like in the 60s. Like this stinks. Like this is not a great feeling.
Seeing guys that are the best players in their league or in their sport be like 5 to 10 years younger than us.
Yeah.
That's a tough
great.
look.
That Tyler Hero stat was tough to read. First player born in 2000 to play in the playoffs. That was a tough pill to swallow. But think about it. Like, remember like watching sports literally anytime. Phil Jackson, Doc Rivers, whatever. Most people don't even know these guys were players. You certainly don't remember that watching them as players. Now it's like there's going to be kids watching this. Well, I guess Steve Nash is a high profile, but someone like Ty Lue, for example. Kids are going to watch Ty Lue and be like, oh shit, like I didn't know Ty Lue played in the league. Like when did he play? Back in like the fucking 70s?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, he played like 20 years ago when I was watching him play, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I sent you that Chappelle stand up. One of his newer ones is phenomenal. When he's talking about like when he takes his son to see Kevin Hart at like the concert, and he like knocks on Kevin Hart's dressing room door, and like the security guard answers, he's like, "Hey Dave, like, man, what are you doing around? This is a rough area, man." Yeah, thanks. I live here. Anyway, it's like, yeah, thanks. I know. I watch this shit. He's not that old. But that's going to be a crazy like next generation, like seeing players from our prime being head coaches in the NBA. And I get it. Steve Nash is relatively young. I'm interested to see, like, we can do a different segment on this, but who those players are who are going to be coaches. Because it's rare. It's like elite players go on to coach for whatever reason. Steve Nash is probably the best player who's a coach I can think of, like in recent time. Doc Rivers, maybe. If you count Larry Bird, I guess, but he wasn't known for being a coach. Like Doc Rivers is known for being a coach. Luke Walton. That's a crazy one because I remember him. I felt like he played like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very young head coach. Jason Kidd, maybe if he pans out. That's pretty much it.
Abdel Nader.
He'll be a great coach. I could see him like stepping into a more like commissioner, like leadership type position with the NBA. Commissioner Nader.
He'd be better. He'd be better as a coach bus than a coach. He'd be more likely to turn himself into a vehicle than be a good head basketball coach.
I'll put that on the poll. That's a phenomenal question. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal question. We'll let the people. Oh, that's what it was. We don't have really time to get into it. But the other question was, what are other jobs that should be decided by a public vote besides like the presidency? Some were like, I think some asshole was like podcast host. It's like, all right, fuck off. One was like,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. One was like a referee for like a big game, which I think is fair. I really think like any job you could do that. Like you talked earlier, actually. That's why I remembered.
Husband and wife.
Yeah. You just put two people online and let people go on and vote. What was I going to say? Like head coaches in the NBA. What if it was just like, all right, like we have 3 candidates. We're going to let the people of Boston vote on who's going to be our next coach. That'd be sick. That would not be the best way to do it, most qualified way to do it, but at least you know you're pleasing the people.
Yeah.
They're like Brad Stevens rallies like outside of like the garden. And then it comes down to a debate. Brad Stevens and I don't know, Avery Johnson like at a debate to see who gets the job. That'd be fun. But anyway, I might try and find him. I'm sure there's a way to go in my archive and find him. But anyway, let's log off here. Episode 47. Thank you guys for sticking with us. And got some good stuff next week. Got some friends of the program and some bigger name guests next week. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it.
All right. See you guys next time. Peace.